Hello, everybody. I'm in between setting up my shop, and so I posted on my YouTube channel. If you have any questions, because I can just talk about the questions here rather than type. So a lot of you guys like that. You gave me some good questions, so we're going to go through them. This quick, dirty video, no fancy screens, no nothing, just me talking to you. Okay. So first question I had is what's been going on right here. I'm looking at the screen here. What are some details on the last few months? Well, the basic details of this is I lived on a family ranch for past 25 years, and I'm the only child, so it's just really me and my mother. And so we made the decision to sell the ranch because ranching is a tough lifestyle, and it just gets worse. So after thinking about it probably 5, 6, 7 years, we finally made the decision to go ahead and do that. So the ranch where I've been living for 25 years sold. We ended up buying properties, commercial properties all throughout northern New Mexico. So Angel Fire, Santa Fe, Los Alamos. And so my entire job description changed, you know. I work on guitars. On the ranch, I work on guitars a lot because ranching is kind of like being a fireman. You know, you've got long periods. Well, a fireman in a small town. Now, in a big town, you're frantic. But what I mean is there's periods of nothing happening, and then there's periods of sheer chaos. So, and during the winter, I didn't have any cattle. We ran yearlings. So yearlings are on the pasture during the summer only. And then you got nothing. Then the only thing to do is fence repair and stuff like that. And so I had a lot of free time. And so that's really why I started working on guitars. And it just became a good deal, you know. I mean, I got pretty well known and successful in working on guitars because I only worked on stuff I wanted to work on. I never intended to be a professional guitar repair person. You know, I just did what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it, and consequently, you know, I'm pretty good at it because a lot of people don't want to touch 70s Martins and things like that because, you know, there's a lot of problems that got to be fixed, and so. But that kind of became my specialty. So, my real job description has just radically changed, and of course, the moving process is not easy. I mean, you've got 25 years of accumulated junk to move. And the fact is, you know, I was going to die on the ranch. So all my life, I'm a university brat, basically. And I basically have moved every 2 years until I hit college. And then I stayed at college for 4 years and et cetera. So, you know, I was used to moving. And then when I got to the ranch, you know, that was it. I wasn't ever going to move again. So I let too much junk accumulate. So moving is a headache. I've basically been moving since January. And then, of course, my mother sold her house in Santa Fe, moved into a smaller house. So that's got to get moved. So I've been doing nothing but moving since January. Just getting a shop space set up is tough because right now the shop space that I want out here, I've got another little Morgan building that was on this property. It looks great for a shop, but it's full of stuff right now, moving stuff. So that's why I haven't got set up yet, but I'm starting to get there, and I'm going to have all my tools and benches and all that stuff here in the next couple of weeks. So that's what I've been up to. Okay? So that's video 1. And I'm going to put markers in here so you can skip ahead onto this. So the question I got, first question, real question I'm going to get, we wanted to know about, let me see if I can find who that is. Martin D18. That's the question. Would you pick a boutique builder over Martin Custom Shop? Huss and Dalton, Bourgeois. That's the basic question. Would I pick a boutique builder over a Martin Custom Shop? That just depends. It depends on what you want out of this guitar. And by the way, there is an instrument on the wall here, see? Aha, see, I do have instruments in there over there. So I have gotten some instruments in here. Would I pick a boutique builder? First of all, you got to define what do you consider a boutique builder. I don't consider Huss and Dalton or Bourgeois to be boutique builders. They've got, there's small builders, smaller than Collings. Yeah, I guess you got to decide what a boutique builder is, because in my mind, I think of a boutique almost as a small builder. So Hooper, Ken Hooper, for instance, would be a small builder. A lot of the guitars that are on my channel, the names I can't even remember right now, the C.B. Smith, man, I gave a good review on that guitar. So those are kind of what I would lean toward if I was looking for a non-Martin guitar. But as far as a Huss and Dalton and Bourgeois go, one of the best guitars I reviewed on there, one of my favorite guitars I reviewed anyways, was that Bourgeois. The vintage one with the Madagascar rosewood, was it? Man, that thing was fabulous. Would I take that over a custom shop Martin? Yeah, I would. If I liked the sound. And that's what you got to find out with the boutique builder. Do you like their sound? Because every guitar builder has their sound. That's what separates them from the other guitar builders. And they have a consistency. They should have a consistency in the sound, because if they didn't have a consistency in the sound, then we couldn't even talk about a Huss and Dalton. You see, if there was not a Huss and Dalton sound and feel, then we would just be talking about random guitars. So I would pick and I've had a Huss and Dalton. I've had Santa Cruz, personally, me personally. I've had Huss and Dalton. I love the Bourgeois, the JOMT, the Jumbo OM thin body, and one with a large sound hole I would love to have one of those. The reason I don't, of course, is because I have a Prue. I have two Prues, and you got to remember that those Prue OMDs are made for me. I participated in the design of it and told Mario Prue what I wanted, and we worked with the design a little bit. So the Prue OMD is basically mine, at least, are custom made for me. So that's why I don't have really any other guitars. But the Bourgeois JOMT, God, the neck is fabulous on them. And for me, so much of the guitar is, in fact, the neck, because that's my interface with the thing. And the sound, I can modify that. And as long as it's a pretty good sound, really, I'm happy. I'm not one of those guys that has a sound in their head and the guitar has to, fit that. I don't have a sound in my head. I listen to the guitar and say, what kind of sound does this guitar have? And what do I need to do as a player to maximize this unique guitar? I want this guitar to sound as good as it can sound. So that's my approach. Is I don't make the guitar fit me sound-wise. I want it to play good. I want the neck to be good. I want it to feel good. But then I listen to that instrument and say, what is this good for? So I have two mandolins, for instance, and they have different kind of sounds. And I use this one, the one that's hanging up on the wall right here, the Elkhorn, to me has a more traditional kind of Bill Monroe sound, a Sam Bush sound. It's got a more open sound to it. My Chris Shot mandolin is a more modern sound. It's a silky, smooth, the Elkhorn can be a little bit harsh at times, but gosh, it's got such an open, woody sound, but a little harsh. The Chris Shot is sweet, rich. The A string is just, oh man, so good. So I don't try to make either one into the other, but I say this is what this mandolin is good for, and this is what this one's good for. Same thing with the guitar. So to get to your question here, if I was looking at a boutique, and let's just say Bourgeois, Huss and Dalton, Collings, okay? Even Collings they're kind of moved up into the factory thing, but they're still a kind of a small factory. I would listen to the guitar, and I would look for the consistency in that person's work. So do they produce a consistent sound? Do they have some duds? Do they have a neck that I like? And Santa Cruz, if all of those things ring true, I have no problem in the world having a boutique. So the Martin Custom Shop, I've had a couple of good Martin Custom Shops. I had that D35 that was really, really nice. It had wood binding on it, and it had maple in the center strip on the back. And I don't know if it was a custom shop. I don't know the status on that guitar, but that was a fabulous D35. And my main problems with Martin is that they're a little too factory. So I cannot stand the tall back braces, where all the back braces are the same. To me, it's just really got to have those low back braces. And you can't get those, as far as I know. You can't get that on a custom shop Martin. So, Martin, even though they have the custom shop, they're limited on what they can do. They're still a factory. It doesn't mean you're not going to get a great guitar from them. I've had several custom shops that I thought were great guitars, but I had to go shave the back braces on them. I had to slot the bridge. I didn't want a popsicle brace on it, so I still had to go do some modifications to get the response and the feel and the feel, There's so much on that feel. That guitar's got to have a vibe to it to really make me bond with it. And if I don't bond with it, it could still be a good guitar, but I've got guitars that I do bond with. So I'm going to go with them, So that's just kind of your deal. So I'm not saying Martin Custom Shop wouldn't make a great guitar, but the other thing about it is when you order one, is it going to be good, You have this dream in your head, and I get these questions all the time. What do you think of this wood combination? I don't know. I can make predictions on it, but again, Martin is a factory, and they don't hand-tune the braces, and they don't tap the tops. They don't do anything to customize that sound for what you want. So you're kind of taking your chances on it a little bit, especially if you have to pre-order it. Now, if you've got an already built custom shop in your hand, like the D35, I would have never thought that D35 would sound that good, Based on the specs, I'd never order a D35. I'd order, something else, a 28. But wow, there it was in my hand, and gosh, this thing felt good. So that's the problem with a custom shop. That's the problem with a small builder, too, like Ken Hooper, okay? Fantastic guitars. My gosh, he makes the best Martin copies I've ever heard. He's got everything exactly right. But to order one of his guitars, I've got to trust that builder. And I would trust Ken Hooper, I'd trust Mario Prue. I did trust Mario Prue. The thing to do with a builder, small builder like that, is don't tell them what woods to use. Just tell them the kind of sound you want. Give them some examples of guitars whose sounds you like, and leave them alone. Let them build the guitar. You're not a guitar builder. They are. So maybe you want a Brazilian rosewood guitar. That's fine. But that's because you want a Brazilian rosewood guitar, not because you want it to sound like a pre-war D28, you see. If you like the pre-war D28 sound, then just tell them that and let them build a guitar. So it's the same thing when I work on 70s guitars. Some guys tell me, I want this, and this. And in one case, I did a D35 for a guy, and he wanted this, and this. And I gave him exactly that. He said so, and then he said, it's too much. It's too bright, it's too loud, and I can't play the kind of style I want to play. I gave him exactly what he wanted. And so sometimes it's better to just say, this is the sound I want, or you tell me what you think, and we communicate on what your needs are, what your sounds are, what kind of stuff you play, and then I might recommend something. I might recommend we don't scallop it. I might recommend we scallop it. I might recommend this bridge or that kind of thing. You're relying on my experience rather than you telling me or the small builder what to do. So, there's a lot in that. I guess that probably answers that question, pretty well. It just depends what you want and how comfortable you are with that boutique builder. Play as many of the guitars as you can and see what kind of consistent sound there is. And I just would really hesitate personally to order a custom shop Martin sight unseen. I'm so picky, or I'm not picky about it, but again, if it's going to be my number one guitar, then I want the feel, the sound, the neck. I want all that stuff to really be right for it to be my number one guitar. I'm not saying it's not going to be my number 2, or my number 3, or my number 4, number 5, or number 6 guitar, It'd still be a great guitar. But I just would really hesitate to make an unknown guitar my number one guitar. So I'd really want to play a small builder, an individual builder. I'd really want to get familiar with their styles and their guitars and their sound before I personally committed my money to them. Okay? Let's take one more question here, and then I got to wrap this up. The question was this on the Authentics. While I think about the Martin Authentics, let me get this. Stephen Hayward. I would like to hear your thoughts on Martin's never-ending releases of authentic or golden era or other tribute versions of the guitars. Marketing ploy or legitimate pursuit of perfection? Well, that's a good question, and that's a loaded question a little bit because is it a marketing ploy? Yes, it's a marketing ploy. Martin is a factory. They're there to make money. I have the greatest absolute respect in the world for Chris Martin. When you know the history of Martin guitars, they were going downhill in the 70s, I mean, they were... And to me, I think Chris Martin single-handedly turned that factory, turned Martin around. You can disagree with me if you want, but, Martin today is great guitars. So is it a marketing ploy? Yeah, it's a marketing ploy. They're in the business of selling guitars. They're not artisans. They're not, oh, this is my art. Some luthiers are like that, Some small builders are like that. And that's fine. That's fine. But that's not what Martin does. They have, as far as I know, shareholders. They've got employees, okay? Anytime you have employees, you've got to make money to keep them happy and keep them employed. You've got, Martin's got overhead, killer overhead, So they have to make money. So it's a marketing ploy, yeah. Does that mean they're not great guitars? No. I think the Martin Authentics are my favorite Martins for the most part, Of course, I complain all the time about the necks, and justly so. I don't like any of the necks on the Authentics, except for the D18. The 39A is a pretty good neck, and one of the small bodies. I can't remember what it was. I only had one. Was it the OM 28? It's in my videos. That one had the neck. In fact, I said, God, I wish they'd put this neck on every single one of them. But the 37 Authentic has got the craziest tapered neck. I mean, I've charted it. And it starts at this tiny little thing and goes to the fattest taper I've ever measured. And why? I've never played a pre-war D28 with that neck profile. I assume they have it in the museum there, and they measured it and did all that to it, but it's not, in anybody's experience, a typical pre-war D28 neck. It's weird. The 41 Authentic has got a pretty good neck, but it's thin. It's super thin, and I measured it, and it sits up in the thin range. It's got a beautiful taper. It's playable, nice. But it's one of the thinnest Martin necks on the whole that I've ever measured. thinner than any 40s D28 I've ever measured. Definitely thinner than any 50s or 60s I've ever measured. It's just, where'd they get this neck? That's my main complaint about the Authentics, is they seem like the weird. Sound-wise, yeah, God, they're great. The 37 Authentic that I complained about the neck in every single video was a fabulous sound. And then I got the aged, you know. You can argue about whether you like the VTS or not, but that aged one, the aged 39 D18 was as good of a guitar as I've ever played. I do think Ken Hooper could probably make one just as good. Pre-war, you know, the pre-war guitar company, they make great guitars, and then good necks, you know. So the Authentic, yeah, it's a marketing ploy. They're still good guitars, and I very, 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 very much respect the fact that Martin at least tried and did a good job of mimicking their original pre-wars. You cannot make a real pre-war guitar again. You just can't. It's chaos theory, you know. Sensitivity to initial starting conditions. You will never be back into that time period again, and you will never be able to duplicate the mindset of the workers, the hands-on work, the way they had the hide glue, just all of those things. You just can't do it. You can come close. You know, you can come at it with a similar approach, and you can make a really good guitar, but you can't make a pre-war D28 anymore. So, given that, in my humble opinion, Martin did a really good job. The Authentics are really nice guitars. If I played a Dreadnought, and if I didn't have two Pru guitars that were made for me, I guarantee you 100% I would have a D18 1939 Authentic. No question at all. That would be a great guitar. And I would also have I sold my 37A because I'm kind of getting out of Dreadnoughts, and, you know, I wanted the money. Okay? I would have a 37A, and I would put a strap button in, and I'd play that sucker. Most bluegrass is going to be done with a capo on the second fret anyways, and there goes that thin neck at the base. And it wasn't that bad. I could easily get used to it. In fact, I did get used to it the more I played the guitar. So I would totally have an Authentic. Yeah, they're great guitars. The marketing ploy too. They're also great guitars. What can you say, you know? So it's a little bit of both. Is it a legitimate pursuit of perfection? No. Because Martin is still a factory. And anytime they are a factory, any factory in the world has got budget constraints, overheads, steps they have to do, workers they've got to use. No, not perfection. It's not perfect. It's as good as they can do in their situation. Maybe they could do just a little bit better. Maybe they could get like an average of necks and run with that average instead of trying to duplicate one guitar, which might be a dog. You know, if I was going to do it, I would average the necks, and I would pick a typical specimen, and I'd go with that. So are they perfect? No, they're not perfect. No guitar I've ever had is perfect. Not even my Prus are perfect. They're close. They're really close, but no guitar is ever perfect. The Prus, for instance, Mario and I miscommunicated about the neck size, and I was measuring with the depth with the frets and the strings. I wanted an overall depth for my hand. He thought I was measuring without the strings, so he gave me these big fat necks. I hated them. Eee. So eventually I shaved them both down to get them where I wanted them. But, that was cool because that let me get that neck right where I wanted it. The Prus can be a little bit nasally, maybe. Not nasally, harsh. I mean, they're bright, loud, punchy guitars, aggressive. I would call them aggressive guitars. And so if you wanted a mellower guitar, not going to work for you. And the thing I noticed about the Prues, for instance, just telling you why they're not perfect, for instance, is they're so loud that I had to completely retrain my right hand. I was used to just, playing hard in order to be heard, and the Prues are so loud that I had to really soften down my right hand a little bit and retrain myself. So, no guitar can ever be perfect in every single situation, and that's the problem we're dealing with there. No guitar is ever perfect for every situation. Prues come pretty close to it. And that's why they're my number one, number two guitars. The Martin and the Phoenix are really, really good guitars. I have tremendous respect for them. I'm so glad that Martin took a shot at their heritage and did a really good job, given the limitations of a factory and all that. And the other thing is you got to think about this. You got to take your expectations. I expect it to be a pre-war Martin because they called it in 1937. I think it's never going to be that. Take your expectations and forget about them, and just pick up that guitar and say, "How is this guitar? Do I like it? How is this guitar all by itself?" So, for instance, you as a human being, I don't know your mother, your father, I don't know your brothers, your sisters, I don't know any of that stuff, and I have a very checkered family history myself. What about me? You see, I'm my own person, so it doesn't matter, who my family is, or who my mother is, or my father, or my uncle, or my aunt. It matters about me. So who am I? What am I doing? So the same approach is there on this guitar. How's this guitar? Do you like this guitar? Or do you not like this guitar? Because the guitar doesn't care about its heritage. It's here in your hands. This is it. How is it? If you like it, great. Play it. I don't, I don't care if it's a perfect copy of 1937 or not. So that might attract me to it, for sure. It might make me say, well, I want something that kind of looks like a real 1937. And then I have to ask myself the question, well, do I want it aged? Do I want it to look like a 37, a real 37? Or do I want it to look like I just transported it through the time machine? Personally, I like the aged ones. The funny thing about the aged ones, I've said this before, is that you don't worry about your first ding anymore. I felt when a customer lent me those two authentic aged that I did in the videos, and I was so comfortable playing them because they were already worn. I don't care about the fact that they're trying to look like they've had all that. What I cared about was the fact that, well, it's got some wear on it. I'm not going to have to worry about the first ding because who's going to be able to find it? I saw when I was on the Telecaster discussion board, I saw an ad once that just cracked me up. Relic Telecaster, excellent condition. How do you know it's in excellent condition? It's a relic. But that's the fun thing about aged relic guitars is, man, you don't have to worry about them. They're comfortable, I have an aged Telecaster myself. And it's great. I can drag it around on the floor and nobody ever knows. Whereas the other ones that are shiny and new, the first ding hurts. So, okay. But the point is, again, take each guitar on its individual merits. If you like it, then it's a good guitar. If you don't like it, then it's not a good guitar for you. Might be a great guitar for somebody else. So, okay. Gotta go. Got work to do. So I hope you guys get something out of this and send me some more questions if you want. And I'll try to do this. I hope to have a shop up and running in the next month. That doesn't mean I'm going to get to your guitar in the next month. That means I've got a couple that I'm going to bring in to see if my shop even works, because, I'm so used to having this tour there and that tour there, and I'm not going to be able to duplicate that. So I got to learn a whole new shop. And another thing is I'm up here in Angel Fire, New Mexico, The elevation is 8,500 feet, and it is dry. So number one, I've got to make sure my humidity system is working. You know, I'm not going to take anybody's guitar, not have enough humidity. But I'm looking at 41% here in my little room. Yeah, it's backwards, you know. So it looks like I'm doing all right up here, but this is not where I'm going to be working. I'm going to be working out there in the building. So before I can really get up and running, I've got some legwork to do, along with all the other stuff I have to do. Managing 6 properties, basically, which is not in my career path, but now it is. So, see you later. Bye-bye.